And there we go. Everybody should have microphones. We've got Carl joining us. This is the Northern Boreal Classic captain's meeting. So, Carl, second derby of the season for you running. You're
Yeah.
the all-star.
Mama always said I was special.
Well, you're special to me, buddy. I will always remember the east slope with your dry suit and a puddle of water. So
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody told me that the dry suits hold a bunch of water on the outside until you take them off.
yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
then you come waddling out of the bathroom into the hall where we were and asking for a mop. Coming out
Yeah.
of the bathroom asking for a mop kind of worried me a little bit, but
Yeah. Looked like my water broke in there.
that was all good. So we've got Carl Ball with us. As I said, he is the organizer of this event, the Northern Boreal Classic. Second or third one we've run there now, Carl.
This is only the second one we've done. Didn't do it last year or the year before because of COVID and whatnot. So we did it once in 2019, I believe. And then everything shut down for 20. And then last year I was about to head south, and just with other restrictions, everything was kind of up in the air. And for some reason, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not trying to make this a negative statement. It just seems to take a little bit to get the license through that office for whatever reason. I think everybody's working pretty hard, and they maybe got a lot on their plates. So it just by the time the restrictions opened a little bit, it would have been probably too late to get the license and stuff going. So
Yeah, and
we
they've
didn't
got
do
a big
last year.
area up there. So
Yeah. So
and then we've also got Trevor joining us. He'll give a little bit of chat, and those are some pretty dirty hands you got there, Trevor.
Oh, they are dirty. Wow. I may have just got off work.
Apparently, Trevor doesn't know what soap is, but we'll accept it. All right, so let's kick this off. Northern Boreal Classic, Lesser Slave Lake. Carl, take it away, my friend.
So we're doing a little different than we did last time. So last time we were down in the town of Slave Lake, and we were on that bottom kind of east corner, southeast corner of Slave Lake. So this year, after a little bit of feedback and whatnot, and I kind of fished it myself one time out in that out of this Hilliard's Bay. We decided to move it up there. So Hilliard's Bay is in the northwest corner of Slave Lake, and our license for this event is for the West Basin. So if the weather is super good and we open up for optimal conditions, we got the northwest quarter of Lesser Slave Lake. We're only allowed to fish the West Basin. We can't drive all the way to the town of Slave Lake. So in the case of, speaking of conditions, in the case of adverse weather conditions, we're going to have the area from the tip of Shaw's Point to the west side of Hilliard's Bay, Estates Beach. So it's kind of a small area. The wind a little bit kind of blows back and forth. Hopefully it's not going to try and blow us offshore there if it does kick up. So you guys, we're going to be responsible for our own safety, our own actions, our own property. If there's lightning, winds over 25 kilometers an hour, or a whole bunch of rain, we're going to call it. We're going to do something else. We'll maybe do a beach cleanup or something for a little bit. We might postpone it, or maybe we'll cancel it, depending on what the circumstances kind of say. Best case scenario, and if the day starts really nasty, maybe it'll get a little nicer. We can kind of go a little later in the day. After, say, if it's still blowing at 6 a.m., maybe by noon it'll warm up, or the wind will die down. So who knows? We got our fingers crossed that we get good weather and everything's good for this one. So just like all the other tournaments, you guys, we're not going to launch until we get checked out. We're going to start at 6 a.m. So I'm going to try to do my best to be at the boat launch between 5:30 and 6. You guys, we're going to be using the app, so you can just let me know through the app or text me. My phone number is still the same, 780-834-8675. If you want to text me that you're heading out, please let me know who you are, because if I don't remember you guys, or I didn't have you saved in my phone, I wouldn't remember your number. So what else? We're gonna so any fish outside those times aren't gonna count. Barbless hooks, I can't tell you guys how much easier it is to deal with an angry pike in a net if you're talking about a single barbless hook. Just keep the tension on them until you get them to the boat, get them in the net, let them thrash as much as they want in the net until they're tired out. Then grab them, unhook them. Way easier to deal with a single barbless hook. So speaking of fish, you guys, 17 fish limit. I don't know what I was thinking when I put this on the docket or on the rules for this one, because that's a lot of fish for me to look at. So if I'm looking at the top 5, I got to look at 17 for each person. So that's a heck of a lot of fish. So 5 burbot, 5 lake whitefish, 5 yellow perch, 1 walleye, and 1 northern pike. So you guys play to your strengths. If you're good at catching perch, you catch 5 big perch, you might be more inches than anybody with a walleye or a northern pike. You guys remember our pike and walleye have minimum lengths restrictions. So I'm pretty sure they're 63 and 50 centimeters. We gotta find those. So we're gonna use the Fishing Chaos app. I know the rules have a little blurb about submitting cards and whatnot, but we need to use the Fishing Chaos app. Otherwise, we're not able to track everybody and see what's going on and how it compares with everyone. You guys, if there's protests or issues, you guys please bring them to me right away. There's a couple things that have popped up at the last derby and with the online one that we're going to talk about tonight. But it's pretty much our standard, kind of the same way we do most of the other tournaments. Other than this time, we're able to do 5 burbot, 5 lake whitefish, and 5 yellow perch. Whereas most of the other time, it was kind of just walleye or just pike, I think. Not real sure, because I didn't make it to some of the other ones. And yeah, if you guys need anything, I'm probably going to head out there tomorrow. I'm going to be staying in the campground. I think I'm going to be in B30, I think. You guys look for a white trailer with a big white truck with a white Hobie Outback on top of it. I am bringing an extra boat and 2 extra nets and 2 extra, basically enough for anybody or a couple. So if you forget something like a net, don't drop out just because you forgot your net. Talk to me. I've got 2 extras. I got a couple extra bump boards for anybody that needs them. And I even got an extra kayak if somebody wants to talk to me and see if they want to give this a try if they haven't done it before. So I did get an email from somebody that said they were interested, but they had a little power boat, little inflatable power boat kind of for this one, because we allow motors. I'm trying to keep it to not boats, not whereas, so let's see here. Fishing must be done for watercraft, which is propelled by paddle, pedal, pull, or electric motor for the duration of the tournament. So kayak, snooze, paddle boards, float tubes, inflatable or rigid. So I'm not looking to have, so with a 3 horsepower, 155 foot-pounds of thrust, maximum. So gas, liquid fueled, propane, hybrid motors aren't going to be allowed. No sailboats, john boats, pirogues, oracles, rowboats, dinghy skiffs, pontoon boats, pond boats, or zodiacs.
That's a lot of boats.
That is, yeah. We're not letting those ones in because I opened up for motors. I don't want a guy coming with his, fiberglass walleye boat, deep V hull, and just saying, well, I'm not going to use my motors. I'm just going to cruise around in my, that's not what this is about. This is for human powered craft that we're allowing you guys to use motors on because motors are becoming more and more popular, and Slave is a big water body. So
absolutely.
I'm not one of those guys that has a motor yet. I'm a pedal drive kind of guy. So yeah, if you guys got them, bring them. Let's have a good time. I don't run what you brung kind of thing. It's other than the big boats. Looking for human powered craft that are augmented, I guess, for this one kind of. There's if you guys there's a little bit of criticism there. Why aren't you letting big boats in? Well, there's lots of tournaments for big boats, and this doesn't happen to be that tournament this time. So
kayak trail.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, it's I don't know. I have a great time pedaling my Hobie around. Like, I'm a fat guy, but You don't notice the exercise sometimes. It's
Fluffy.
no, I can embrace it. I've always been a fat guy. I was 300 pounds by the time I was 18 years old. Man, it's in high school. I was 300 pounds. It's a good thing I played rugby and football.
Yeah. No, and that's just it, right? I mean, for a lot of the derbies, we'll allow the other boats, but for Slave Lake, because you've allowed that motor content, it's no different than with the SummerSlam motor allotment. It's got to be on a kayak. So,
yeah, and you know what? We have special cases where people, for whatever reason, they need that powered craft. I don't know. The first year I did this, I was staying at the campground down in Slave Lake, and there were some guys putting together their Zodiac in the camp spot beside me, and they were putting blowing it up. They're having trouble with their little inflator or whatever, and getting it pumped up. And I said, "Oh, hey, do you guys need a hand?" And I had a little electric tire pump in my truck. And they're like, "Oh, no, we got it." They said, "Oh, there's a tournament here tomorrow. We're gonna enter it in. We're gonna catch all the fish." And I just thought, "No, you're not." So yeah, it's we're a kayak fishing trail. That's what we're hoping for. You know, you don't have to be human powered. I get it. Everybody's different. If we have had people in the trail before that have mobility issues and need the powered kayak, and that's allowed. We usually make exceptions for that, but this one we're allowing that, but we're not letting the glitter boats in. Don't want to see the bass boat guys coming and cleaning us out on our own tournament.
Dean, if you're watching, take the glitter off the old town.
Well, it's a kayak, so it's not a bass boat.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Great. Thanks, Carl.
Yeah.
For sure.
I've camped up there before. That actually the only time I've ever fished Lesser Slave was we went up and Oh, Dean can't even comment for himself. He's got his wife's got to comment for him. Yeah, the only time I fished Lesser Slave Lake was actually I was camped at Hilliard's Bay. Did a bunch of shore fishing. Decided to rent a pontoon boat. Went way out in the lake, way down the other end. Caught nothing. Came back, fished from shore, and horsed in a 12-pound walleye. So yeah,
nice.
I'm happy that it's at that end of the lake this year.
Yeah. I fished there once before. We took the kayaks out. Had some real nice weather. Knock on wood, we get good weather again this year. And had a great time. I think we're in 10, 12 feet of water, just catching pike and walleye. And I don't think any of them were big enough that they would have counted for this tournament. But I was taking my friend out who'd never been in a kayak before, and he was a belly boat kind of guy and liked fly fishing. And he hadn't used his conventional gear in a long time. He had a great time. Couldn't believe, with the propulsion, the pedal drive, and a little fish finder. He was having a great time. And that's what we want to do with this, with the trail and stuff, is bring new people in and help build the sport, right? So, I mean, I go to lots of events when I can. I help by organizing a couple or hosting one now and then. I never win, and it doesn't matter, because a rising tide lifts all boats. Like, we're improving the sport here.
Yeah, absolutely. And the nice thing is, so I noticed that in the rules we don't actually have a minimum length of fish, so I might get a fish on the board.
Yeah. It does say that we've got to follow the rules, the
provincial.
So yeah, we've got to make sure that we're, and I left my rule book upstairs. I didn't look to see what it is specifically for slave to see if it's different, but I think it's usually 63 centimeters for a pike and 50 for a walleye, I believe. I'm not sure if you can keep walleye out of
right now.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good thing to mention.
Walleye is over 43 centimeters. Pike is over 55 centimeters there.
Nice.
So they are shorter pike allowed up there.
Yep.
Whitefish, burbot, perch, no size limits. So
Yep.
I'll be anxious to see if anybody fishing up there is going to end up with some whitefish, because there's some nice whitefish in that lake. There's some big perch in there, and there's some big burbot as well. So if somebody could figure out the 5 species, it would be an absolute runaway, even with a tiny little pike.
Anybody's game. Yeah. I mean, that's one thing I think is pretty cool, is it can go to anybody. Like, you get somebody like Jim Kine, that he had his whitefish game dialed in a couple years ago, and he was taking events left and right because he was getting the alternative species kind of ticket, right?
Yeah.
So I've never been, I think I've caught a whitefish once ever, and it was by accident fishing for something else. So I've been trying to look at as many online stuff as I can. I've been cracking a couple books about walleye. And it looks like, from the kind of the latitude or longitude with how far north Slave Lake is, it looks like we're just going to be the post-spawn feeding, that big feeding period when walleye are done spawning. Or so, like, they could have the feed bag on the week that we're up there. Like, this could be epic walleye
absolutely
fishing.
It's a great time for walleye fishing on that lake, same as pike fishing. And if you want to catch whitefish, good luck. I've gone out with Jim and used the exact same presentation, everything is Jim, and been within inches of Jim, and they hit him all the time. It's Jim. I hate to say it. I hope he doesn't come to this. I am coming to this one, and if Jim comes, I'll just take pictures. I'll just take a 0. I've been on Battle Lake with Jim walleye fishing, and my bobber is at the exact same depth with the exact same setup as him, and my bobber's literally rubbing against his bobber, and the walleye took his minnow every single time. So if Jim's fishing, I give up. Perfect. Well, thanks, Carl. Everybody that's watching, if you haven't registered yet, register.
There's only 4 people that have registered.
We got four of us right now, but you know what? Battle, the battle at Buffalo was the same thing. It took a while for it, and if you're looking for somewhere to come fish, come on out to this one. It's going to be a great event. There is a ton of amazing fish. Absolutely 0 issues in the area that we're going to be fishing, hooking into 36 to 40 inch pike and 12-pound walleye, because I've done both of them right there from shore. So it can be done. The burbot, the whitefish, that will be the game changer. But so coming soon. I can't wait. I'm excited.
Been a while since I was out there.
It's been 15 years since I've fished Lesser Slave Lake, so I'm excited. Trevor.
Yes, sir.
Mr. SummerSlam, you've had some amazing fish, lots of entries. The trout was unbelievable. Some of those trout getting submitted for the monthly challenge. Looking at the monthly challenge now, same thing. I know we have had a few issues come up with challenges and stuff like that. So we thought this would be a great time for you to kind of speak up on a few things that you would like to chat about submitting fish to the app and anything to do with that.
Yep, you bet. Thanks, Mike, and thanks again, Carl, for everything there too. The SummerSlam's rolling along really good. We got 45 people entered. Like I say, just want to give everybody a reminder, if you're still on the fence or know somebody on the fence, it'd be great to see us get to like 50 registered anglers. We're going to close off registration for the SummerSlam on August 15th. We've got that door prize for the SummerSlam of that Pit Boss travel smoker. that everybody that's registered has a chance of winning. So if that's a decent incentive, definitely go get registered. The monthly challenge right now, we're pretty much we're a little over, I guess we're 3 weeks into this challenge of walleye and lake whitefish. It's going good. I know Dean has been working hard at getting some whites and tagging some walleyes, and Flynn's been battling really hard. And I know I talked to Flynn today actually about that. He's aggressively searching for more whites. So that's kind of the whole key of the challenge, is to see people out there targeting species that might be new to them, or they might be proficient at angling for. So hopefully everybody's enjoying that platform. I know even John and Adrian, they went out, and I know they're big time lake whitefish anglers too. So I'm sure we'll see some walleye being put up on the board from him this weekend too. So we'll do another update on the leaderboard this next week before our app guru Taryn goes on holidays. He's leaving, so he said he's going to do an update for me next week. And then we'll
Nobody have issues while Taryn's gone.
Right.
Nobody.
Yeah. And then we'll close it off when he gets back from holidays. It'll be, I think he says he's back on the 17th. So we'll have the final results on the 17th for that challenge. So we'll be starting our third challenge already, which is pike and perch. So that's the updates on the challenges, monthly challenges. So in regards to what Mike was talking about, a couple issues, we've had some people challenging some fish, which is part of the process here. It's good to see. It's giving us the opportunity to learn and grow as well too, and handle this. So biggest thing I do want to say first off is a lot of the rules, and when guys are doing challenges, those are default challenges that the Fishing Chaos app provided to us. We didn't really modify them because this is our first year using the app. So it's a learning curve for us, and we are learning lots, and we're learning it fast. And this is where I want to speak of handling of fish, and a challenge we recently had, and some other issues we had on certain species. So in specific, your predatory species like pike, northern pike. There was a challenge this week on a fish caught, and it was a legitimate challenge. The picture looked a lot worse than it truly was. The angler was allotted a warning, and there was no further penalty from that. So what I'm here tonight as well too is to talk to you guys about how the rules and the challenges in the Fishing Chaos app are not totally parallel to what we need to see. We're going to have to change that for next year. We're not going to change it in the middle of this year, but I want to talk to you guys about handling pike and handling them properly, the big predatory fish, because a lot of people are familiar with putting their hands underneath the gill plate, and that's predominantly an acceptable way of handling pike. It's I know the rules state no hands under gill plate or in gills protruding will automatically have a disqualified catch. For your big predatory fish, when we're getting up to like that 33-inch and plus, I mean, we have to take into consideration being safe, not only for yourself on your vessel, but the safest handling method for the fish as well too. And holding a fish that way, big predatory fish like that, is the safest way for both you and the angler and the fish. So what I recommend, if you want to throw that picture up there, Mike, and make it the full screen if you can. So here's a fish or a catch of two of our anglers for the SummerSlam. And what you'll see here is their hands are underneath the gill plate, which is acceptable. And what you'll also notice is their hands and fingers are farthest ahead as possible. If it's down below, or if it's further back, closer to the gills, you run that risk of protruding your fingers into the gills of the pike or whatever predatory fish you're catching. So this is what we would consider a good handling method. Having gill flaps up and open and gills exposed, we want to try to obviously not have that transpire. I know it happens in the vigorousness of trying to take a photo of a big floppy predatory species like that. So, but take your time. and get a decent picture and then get your fish back into the net. So those are good examples, and that's acceptable. Even though I understand the rules state differently, we will be working. This is a learning curve for all of us to change those. So there's two really good examples for everybody if you're catching big fish. If you're using gloves, I highly recommend keeping to a glove that's like a cotton glove or something that, or a Kevlar glove or something like that, isn't going to harm the fish. Our smaller species, walleye, are usually pretty docile. You shouldn't be having to jam your fingers into their gills. So yeah, here's the zooming in picture, a really good picture of it. The fish is controlled.
That thumb is in an iffy placement. I would never put my thumb there. I like my thumbs.
Yeah, but that's a good control of the fish. Fingers are nowhere near the gills. It's underneath the gill plate. You guys got to be safe out there on the water, especially if you're fishing alone. Which brings me to my next thing I want to mention is if you are out there targeting big predatory fish, maybe plan to fish with another angler so that if an occurrence happens, you can get some help from somebody else, right? So that's not frowned upon. That's encouraged, right? So Broden's got his little toe there poking it to put it in placement. He's using the one hand and one big toe method there. So there's some
Sorry, I had to point that out.
Yeah.
Only an Aussie would put his foot on a 39-inch pike and think that it's acceptable. So, hey, look at this.
Yeah. So like I say, we've had some, I don't want to say pushback, but it's been a learning curve this week, a steep, aggressive, quick learning curve. And as we grow, we're going to have more of these circumstances. Like I say, the rules set out that we didn't really overly modify from Fishing Chaos were their default rules, and they are predominantly for bass species. So they don't really pertain to those big fish. So I do want to stress, trout, walleye, smaller species. There's no reason for us to be putting our hands in the gills. Lake trout, that's another different thing because they get big, they get ferocious on the board, so you have to control them sometimes. But again, there's safe handling practices. If you guys not sure, you can reach out to me. I can provide you with further examples. So if you have any further issues, let us know. We're trying to make this the best outcome for everybody. Normally, I provide everybody on the SummerSlam with a warning. If I see something improper, I provide them with a warning. Make sure it doesn't happen again. For the most part, that seems to be working. If I see it again, then I will give a subtraction on the length of your catch as a second warning. Your third warning will be a disqualified catch. So we want to educate you guys so it doesn't happen. It's new app, angler tags, all that jazz is new this year. So I will touch on that, Mike, right away here. Actually, I got that written down. So
okay, just before you go into that, can I just mention one thing?
Yeah,
and it's absolutely perfect that Mike St. Germain is the person that asked this. The first year that I started the SummerSlam, we had some people complaining about the fact that some of the fish that got submitted by Mike, and I think it was Mike and Steve that got submitted, that there was somebody holding the pike down and another person taking the picture. You know what? As Trevor said, these big fish, if there's somebody near you, ask them to come over and give you a hand. There is... originally when we started the East Slope, it was a single person. There was no helping anybody, no nothing like that. As soon as it didn't take long for me to say, I want to change that. The first year I went to Mucha, we changed that and said, absolutely, help each other. So if you're landing a big fish or if you see somebody horsing in a great big pike, if you're able to, go over and give them a hand. It was great to see those pics. Mike can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was Mike and Steve that were sending in those pics, or maybe Mike and Michelle, of these big pike. And literally they had one person holding down the pike and the other person taking the pictures. So if we can do that, let's absolutely do that. It's safer for the fish. It's safer for our anglers. And it allows us to to get that in and out. So there you go. Mike just said it there. Trevor, you did it for him with a big laker. If you've got a big fish, keep it in the water and get help. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, you
So
betcha.
I'll stop now, and you can touch on. I'll go back to what Mike said here.
Yeah, so Mike, this is actually a catch of yours. I don't know if you guys can see it. There you go. Okay, so it says photo catch device time. And then it says below that, it says catch submission tournament time. So yours is working correctly. We have your timestamp on and your EXIF data, so we can see everything necessary. So yours is working correctly. If I notice it on anglers that it's not on, I reach out to them, and I've sent everybody, including today, there was a mass message sent out with a YouTube video of how to make sure your EXIF data is on, and we can see the location of it being caught. And that's super critical, because like I said I sent out that mass message today. Your location of where you're catching is critical for us to make sure we're all being sportsmanlike. If people are fishing private ponds that are in an urban setting communities, like I know Edmonton has Summerside Pond, that's only available. iTunes didn't work.
Music iTunes didn't work.
I'm not sure what that means. It's a video of mudding. It's
YouTube.
a video of a mudding YouTube.
Okay,
Oh, the video didn't work. I'll check into that. Yeah.
And with that, I just wanted to say we were chatting about that. So for anybody that is on your app, if you're on Gmail, there is a possibility it could have went to your promotions folder as well. That's where mine ended up. It didn't go to my inbox. It went to the promotions. So check your promotions kind of spam box type thing, because it didn't come from anybody in the trail. It came from the app. You might actually see it in there.
Oh, I just looked at the video, Mike. Yeah, it was a mudding video from something from Jay Siemens. So obviously somehow it tagged the wrong video in the link.
Or Trevor just spends all his time watching Jay Siemens, wishing that he was, back there fishing with him. We get it. You don't love us. That's fine.
Yeah, no. So sorry. Thanks, Mike, for letting me know. I'll resend that message out, a mass message to everybody with the proper link. So yeah, I touched on that. What was said in the message today. Hopefully everybody's clear on the handling. Hopefully everybody's clear on the sportsmanlike conduct of fishing in, a non-private. It has to be a public accessed water body, fresh water body. We want to keep it that way. That'll be something that'll be changing next year. So we're hoping everybody's being sportsmanlike in that regard. We're not going to go back and change it. The rules this year, it is what it is, but just keep that in mind. Use your better judgment. Identifiers in the pick. I know the identifiers are new this year, and it can be challenging sometime. I've struggled with it myself as well too, with reflection of the sun. We need to see that if you're competing in the SummerSlam, we need to see that SS22 in the pick. If you're competing in other tournaments, like the Slave Lake one that's coming up this weekend, there will be a cold released Friday night. That's got to be on your identifier. It's got to be in the pick. It's super important, people. If I've given you a warning and it's not in the pick, I will be disqualifying fish moving forward. I give everybody one warning, and usually everybody's pretty good with this. So if we're seeing duplicate fish within a couple minutes of one another, and it usually can prompt some, can we write the code on our board?
You know what? As far as I'm concerned, as long as the angler tag is visible
and
in your picture,
yeah.
If you wanted to write it on your board,
yeah.
I mean, it's
honestly, it's kind of one of those things. Yeah, it's what I would encourage with that question. What I would encourage you to do is, okay, yeah, put it on your board this year, but force yourself to have that angler tag in that picture. Because as we grow, as the WCKFT grows and we get more people involved, it's going to be mandatory that everybody has to do it that way. So I've got no problems with that, but definitely, push yourself to you have that angler tag in the picture. Okay.
Yeah, the tag needs to be visible in the picture that we can see you have the angler tag with you and the code on the board. Whether we can read the code on the tag, that's another thing. So if you've got it strapped on your arm and your arm's down, we can't read that tag. If we can see the code written on the board, I think we would all be very happy with that. And I would just also like to point out, as far as, Trevor was mentioning about giving warnings, just so you guys know, there is no safe zone. Warnings are given to directors as well. So
Yep.
You guys, what I did with my little ID card is I took some double-sided Velcro and stuck it to the side of my board.
Perfect.
So
Yeah.
I wrote my name on the bottom. I wrote there's 6 spots on the card to put for your different events. And then I fill it in with a Sharpie. I've always got a Sharpie in my PFD now. That was from playing with the Yankees last fall and spring. And you don't get the code until you're just about to hit the water usually. And then I just write it on that tag. It's already on my bump board. I don't have to worry. If you guys, I know some guys are writing them on their hands. Some guys are, that's the easiest way I've found to do it. You can, if you don't have any sides on your board, you could maybe put you guys, show you something here real quick.
I've actually taken my tag and put it over my board. So smaller fish, I can slide it up to it. The bigger fish, I lift my tag up, slide the fish underneath, and it's that extra little bit of a handhold further down the fish helps that tail from slapping up.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, on the app too, I asked Taryn. Taryn has added the minimum sizes for pike and walleye, so over 43 and over 55 have been added into the app for this event.
Okay.
You guys, here's a quick tip for you guys. These little packages that we get hardware or I don't know, hooks and stuff in, because they're just the right size to hold a little piece of paper or a ID card.
Yeah.
So if you put some Velcro on these, stick it to your board. Obviously, if you flat on your board, your fish is going to cover it. But if you kind of put some Velcro maybe along the bottom edge here, you could still stick it against the side of your board and have it stick up high enough that you could see the ID, the identifier, and the card. We know it's the right card. It's not like there's 10 of these cards out there that are all looking the same.
No, exactly. And it's a different card this time than last year. And I think a perfect example was the first year we didn't even have cards. I sent out a little paper thing, and Doug Ham had a cotton glove that had a piece of paper with 4 safety pins on it. So that's another option. When you go to take that picture, slap the card on the back of your hand. Perfect place to put it.
Yep. So I'll just go back into this duplicate fish. Like I say, if we see in a tournament and you submitted 2 of the exact same fish, both will just be removed. So you guys make sure you got time. If you're fishing a live event, obviously you have to have your fish submitted before the end of the tournament. But as for the SummerSlam, there should be absolutely zero reason to have any duplicate fish submitted. You guys have the time at home when you get off the lake, whatever you're doing, to ensure that doesn't happen. So please make sure that doesn't transpire. If there's any blatant mishandling of fish during tournaments, guys throwing fish into the water, not releasing them in a good manner, people would get disqualified as well too. So the handling of the fish is super critical here, you guys. With that big predatory species, you get it on the board, you got your picture, you're not sure if the picture is good, blah, 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 blah. And because it is a big fish, put it back in your net. And I've had some chats with the guys that run the kayak muskie tournaments down east. They leave them in their big nets and they just let them chill out for like 5 minutes before they even release them. They just, they let them take in water, they're breathing. And then when they're ready to go, they just kind of unscoop the net and let them swim away. Right. So you're going to have to be patient out there in those big fish and take your time. If you got to pedal or paddle into shore and release them, do whatever's necessary so that we're being all conservation minded for these fish. So, and then the last note, I have is any obstruction on boards. I know I've got a rope around my board that I leave wrap it up, and it's essentially my lanyard because I've lost a board to the bottom of a lake during the tournament, which is awful. But if it's at the bump end or it's obstructing anything, you'll get a warning. But further issues persist, you'll just same things will transpire. You'll get a deduction to your overall length of your catch, and a third offense, you would essentially have that fish disqualified. So I hope this conversation helps with some misconceived ideas of how to handle pike or those big predatory species. Keep your hands out of the fish's gills. That's how they breathe. That's how they survive. If you go and destroy them, we're not being conservation minded any longer. We're harming the species. So please keep that up. And if I just see Curtis made a comment as well too. Some respect, Rooster gets
there. We go. Absolutely, Curtis.
Take them for a swim. Yeah, they deserve the respect. Take them for a swim.
Yeah. So
just before
Curtis,
you say anything, though, Mike, I just want to touch. If you guys can go and look at Curtis's pictures of his pike, for whatever reason, I don't know what he does to his pike, but he doesn't have a single hand on one of his pike. They're all just perfectly sitting there on the bump board. Not even a hand underneath the gill plate. So
when Curtis brings him in, he's just like,
yeah, exactly. So there's obviously some tips from other anglers you guys can get as well too. So
I just kind of wanted to throw this out there. This picture that I just threw up, this was a 44-inch that I got up at Winifred Lake. When I went to release her, I went out. I still had my PFD on because I was just ecstatic. I went out to the point where I was almost buoyant in the water and just held this fish until it wanted to swim away from me, not me pushing it away from it, right? So, oh, there you go. Curtis says he takes a pick with his hand first, and then he does one without it. But yeah, that's just it. It's that this goes back. So if you guys don't know, Google rooster fish and see how these guys treat those fish down there. Yeah. They are like the holy grail of a fish.
Yeah, they swim with them to revive them, and they make sure they push them down into the water column. So yeah, I mean, we want to be doing the same thing. I hope this has given some clarification and understanding to the challenges that are on the Fishing Chaos app and the proper way of handling the fish. We'll be modifying this obviously for next year, so that it plays more in line with the species that are in our tournament series. So
yeah,
and then I guess if you whisper to the fish nicely, they'll lay there
in ear holes. Yeah. And exactly with that, we're talking about pike, but you know what? It's with any fish, and the perfect thing is that you've got. So I just want to touch briefly just on that fish handling. When you've got these fish, like Trevor said, you've got a fish, you've taken your picture, put it back in the net. Don't just take this fish and throw it. That's the last thing you ever want to do. Take that fish, put it back in your net, and move your kayak. If you don't have a pedal drive and you're paddling, sit on your net handle and paddle. Just get that movement. Do not, and I can't repeat how bad this is for a fish. Don't take them and shake them back and forth thinking that you're giving them any benefit. That back and forth motion is absolutely horrible for any fish. They want water to come through. If you look at any of these videos, shows kind of thing where they're catching these big sharks and weighing them, they don't have a hose going through their mouth and another one backwards through their gills. It all flows from the mouth out through the gills. Coming the other way, you actually drown the fish. Yeah. So, that's a big thing. Your fish handling, take a picture, put your fish back in the net. If it took a while to get your picture and you want to get another one, leave the fish in the net and just wait a few minutes. Take that time. Make sure that fish is doing good. If that fish looks like it's struggling, maybe it's time to put the camera away, make sure the fish is oriented kind of towards the front of your boat, and pedal along, motor along, whatever you're doing, and try and make sure that fish gets revived properly.
Yeah. Priority should be, honestly, everybody, priority should be the well-being of the species over you putting it on the board and measuring it, submitting it to our tournament. Priority should be the fish wins and you don't get to measure it. So keep that in mind, right? No matter what circumstance. So that's pretty much it for me. I know you wanted one last thing to touch on there, Mike, about if there is an instance with a fish unfortunately not making it.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we're in any of our events, obviously our online one is different, but any of our in-person events, we are having to write a report to fisheries and let them know how many fish were caught. We need to know water temperature, air temperature at 2 p.m. We need to let them know how many anglers we had, how many hours we had anglers on the water. So they really want to know what we're doing. But we also have to not only report every fish mortality, but we have to give that fish to Fish and Wildlife here in Alberta if it's an Alberta tournament. There was an incident where we lost a big pike up at Ruby's last weekend. They contacted Fish and Wildlife. Fish and Wildlife came down and they took the fish and donated it. So a deserving family actually got that fish. So, there's instances where that happens. So what we want you guys to do is, as we've mentioned, with our fish handling, with reviving the fish, stuff like this, it's all about respecting that fish and making sure that if you do have a fish in any of our live in-person events, if you have a fish that dies, get hold of the organizer of the event, tell them you've had a fish that's died, bring your lines in and get that fish to shore right away. And they'll let you know either to bring it to them or to bring it to a location on shore. For the east slope, kind of my thought is we'll probably have try and get a cooler with a bunch of ice at somebody's truck right at the boat launch that people can bring it back in type thing. But so if you've got a fish that unfortunately just doesn't make it, reel your line in, grab that fish, take it into shore, hand it off either to the organizers or to where they tell you to before you continue back fishing. And again, that's it's kind of something that we haven't really had to talk about for many years because we've been very, very fortunate that we haven't had very many fish die. I know one year with the East Slope, we had probably about 6 trout die. And before the anglers could even get over to where the trout were, either the osprey or eagles came down and stole the fish off the top of the water. So there was no choice of them doing it. But definitely, if you do end up having a fish and you've got that mortality, please reel your lines in, get that fish into wherever the organizer tells you to put it. And that way we can put it on ice and potentially have it donated or whatever needs to be required. But other than that, it's been a phenomenal year. I want to thank all the anglers, but above that, I really want to thank Carl Ball. I want to thank Trevor Thompson. I want to thank Dean Chapman. I want to thank Taryn Bernhard. I want to thank Broden Smith. And I want to thank Denise Fletcher. These organizers all stepped up, and it's because of them that we've been able to do what we have this year. So I'd take my hat off, but I don't want to scare anybody with the bald head. So,
well, Mike, just one thing is we want to say kudos to you. Good work, because you're taking it to the next level. You're doing things like getting on podcasts and shouting us out. But that's just the thing is a good leader lets their team be successful. And that's how we're seeing this unfold is everybody, you kind of did the heavy lifting for several years and started to get more traction. And then more of us came on board. And then now you're helping to take us to the next level. I'm kind of seeing a similarity between, I listen to the Paddle and Fin podcasts, and they in 4 years went crazy from having like 1 or 2 weekly podcasts to now I think they have about 7 podcasts every week, and it's all different stuff, a little bit of hunting, some saltwater stuff, some stuff for newbies. And that's kind of where I think we're at right now, is we're just kind of the tip of the iceberg where we could go, but it's everybody's so positive and we're here for the right reasons, and that's what's allowing us to kind of be successful and for this to take off.
Yep.
So,
yeah. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks to you too, Mike.
Yep.
No, like I said, you guys have all the work that everybody's done over the past couple of years has. When I started the trail, I thought, yeah, there'll probably be a couple events, and here we are at 8 events, and probably going to be more next year. So, yeah, and the reason we do it is because it's everybody out there that's fishing and loves this sport with us gets out there. Can't say enough for everybody that came out when we did the Kids Can Catch Day. You know, Gord drove down from Edmonton to came out and hang out at the Lacombe Fishing Game Kids Can Catch event. Jim Kind was there. You know, we've got these lots of anglers that are out there promoting. We've had people roll up and it's like, oh, somebody's opening a store. Hey, let us go. You know, Dean got in there. Who else was with Dean? I think Michael went, did he not?
Mike did, yeah. Mike and Michelle went, and Broden headed
so
down
you know
there.
we've had you guys out there as well. Are you're promoting this thought that started 12 years ago of kayak fishing in Western Canada, and it's because of everybody that's out there that we've grown how we have, and God, I hope we keep growing. I hope next year we have to have 17 directors because there's 17 tournaments. Be amazing.
So just let everybody know there. I resent out the proper video from of how to allow the Fishing Chaos app to allow permissions for your phone. So the proper timestamp and exif data is being allowed on your phone. So make sure you guys take a look at that. And I do have people that ordered some swag. I have that here at the house. I'm going to go through it here and reach out to you guys to get those sweaters and shirts in. We start throwing tonight, boys.
Yeah, it's a hug fest tonight, apparently.
Yeah. And yeah, I'll reach out to you guys about some of the swag here. Hopefully we get some more people entered in for Slave Lake. And we'll be chatting with you guys. You'll see some more information getting posted up for upcoming things in regards to East Slope and Angler of the Year stuff. We'll be sharing that here in the near future. Some cool information there. And we got the Cooley Classic coming up on the 23rd of this month as well, down in Diefenbaker Lakes.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go here if I can get these.
Make sure you guys get in on some of these events, share them. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the SummerSlam. And here, I think this is a picture of the launch point.
Yeah, hold on. I got to bring this one over. So this is it Herbert's Ferry,
I think it's called.
Herbert's Ferry. So this is where Denise's Derby will be. Absolutely amazing. Oh, going the wrong way. There we go. So as you can see, it is absolutely beautiful. I'm just going to move this out so I can explain what she says. 2 6-foot sturgeon pulled out of the bay this week.
Oh, wow.
The campground, huge covered kitchen, fire pit, and tables. $10 a night for camping. No charge for the camp kitchen. So for anybody that's going to go out there, that will be an absolutely amazing derby.
Lots of species on that one as well, too, I know.
Tons of species within species. Now, Trevor, I know we were just about to pop off, but there is one slide I've got with 2 photos.
Oh, sure. So if you guys are interested in wanting to know what we're all competing for our live tournaments, this is it.
I'm gonna hide us all here.
So we have 2 divisions essentially this year. We've got Angler of the Year for the adult. Adult Angler of the Year is going to win a 100 amp hour 12 volt Dakota lithium battery and a $400 NRS shopping spree from Aquabatics EQ Outdoors. And we have our youth select section, thanks to the folks at Dakota Powerbox and or Dakota Lithium, sorry, and Simon at EQ Outdoors. I got on the phone with him and asked him if his initial sponsorship level, if he'd be willing to split that up. And we had another Powerbox that we could provide to a youth division. So for the folks out there that have kids participating, the way this works is it's 15 and under. If you turn 16 during the angling year, that's fine. You're still considered a youth. So you have a chance there for winning a Dakota Lithium Power Box and a $350 shopping spree from EQ Outdoors. So those are some pretty amazing prizes. How the Angler of the Year works is it doesn't pertain to the SummerSlam. The SummerSlam is exempt from Angler of the Year stats. So if you fished a tournament and you got first place, you get 100 points. If you got second place, you get 99 points. Third place, 98, so on and so forth. If you fish the tournament and you didn't catch any fish, you get 20 points less than the last person that caught a fish. So if there was 10 people that caught fish, 10th person would get 90 points, and you were the 11th, 12th, 13th, so on and so forth, and you didn't catch any fish, you would then get 70 points towards your stats for Angler of the Year. So essentially, the more tournaments you compete in, the more live tournaments you compete in, the more points you accumulate, the more chances you have of winning Angler of the Year. So hopefully that makes sense.
With that, we don't count every tournament either. We just because we know that it's hard for somebody to hit all of the events, so we do make sure that people are able to fish a certain number of tournaments and still do it. Now, that being said, the more you hit, the more you have a chance of
it's based off of 4, correct, Mike?
I'm just bringing it up right now what we did for this one.
Even though we have 8 tournaments this year, guys, it's not based off of all 8. It's based off your best score from it's either 4 or 5 tournaments. I can't remember how the spreadsheet works.
I think it's 5 or 6 of the 8.
Yeah, so it's not like you have to go to every single one. It's just your best score from total accumulation of points from.
So we've got 6. We take your greatest total from 6 events.
Right. So, yeah. I know Flynn won it last year, and I think he got a whole bunch of NRS stuff, I believe, anyways, from EQ Outdoors.
$750 worth of NRS stuff. And then this year that for anybody that may be kind of questioning that if it's worth it for them to do it this year and hammer those tournaments. So you've got that $400 and that is pre-tax from Aquabatics NRS. So you'll be able to go on and purchase the stuff, go in, get it from them. And I'm just looking right now. I think the Dakota Lithium, I can't remember what they're. Oh, no, it's not even worth competing this year. It's only a $900 US battery.
Yeah, it's like $1,300 Canadian for that battery.
Yeah. So you're walking away with $1,600. Well, depends. If our dollar does something, we might be worthwhile. But you're walking away with a $1,500 prize pack for first place for the derbies. So
yeah. So if you guys got kids too that are interested in angling, I know we've got a few kids out. I know a buddy of mine, his daughter's been out a few times. Ben's been out a few times. Ben's always kind of cleaned house because he's only been one of the youth anglers always participating, right? So
you know what? I haven't been happier than at Dad's Derby this year, at how many youth showed up this year.
Yeah.
It was amazing to see that many kids out at Dad's Derby. That's the biggest turnout we've ever had of kids.
Yeah.
So, and that's just it. When it comes to the kids, absolutely bring them out to compete. But you know what? There's not a single one of us, and the big burly bearded guy over there that's got his back turned to us is probably the biggest kid lover ever. He comes out to the derbies, and at the East Slope, he sure spends a lot of time playing with the kids. And even at Buffalo Lake last year, Ben hooked his hook, and Carl just told him to take it. It's yours, buddy. So Ben was pretty excited about that. So, we really want this to be a family event at every event we go to. So please, by all means, bring your kids out. We want to see them out there having fun, and we want to share our passion with them.
Yep. Awesome.
And other than that,
I think that's it. I know it kind of went a lot longer than we probably wanted, but if you guys have any questions on handling techniques, reach out to us. I did send out the permissions video to everybody in the SummerSlam that's competing in the SummerSlam. So make sure that's those permissions are on. Get out, enjoy fishing. The challenge ends in a couple weeks here, I guess, 10 days, essentially. And you guys enjoy the tournament this weekend up in Slave Lake. And thanks again, Carl. And that's pretty much it for me.
Sign up. Get your butts up to Slave Lake. Come fish with us. It's going to be a blast. I guarantee you'll outfish me because Ben's fishing, so I'm going to catch nothing. So it'll be great.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
And with that, thank you, everybody, for the effort you've put in so far this year to be a part of our trail, to be a part of our community. Please keep sharing our message of sustainable fishing practices and just general happiness out kayak fishing. It's great to see. I'm happy to see Curtis Jensen back fishing with us. Broden, your two-time champion of SummerSlam, is going to be a hard one to keep if Curtis Jensen's competing against you, buddy. I'm sorry to say. If there's a guy that fishes hard, I don't think you look at hardcore fishermen, it's probably Curtis. So
yeah.
Good luck to everybody in the SummerSlam with the events, and hope to see you guys this weekend.